Hello everyone, it's another guild tactic video from me, so I'll get straight to it. And I'm going to talk to you about the first boss in Terra City and the Springs, which are the Protectors of the Endless. Now, with this fight, I'm about to tell you the elite mode tactics because that's what we'll be doing when we get there. The setup will be 1 tank, 3 healers, and 6 DPS. And as we all know from Wayfinder, the structure of the fight is that we kill a boss, the other 2 regenerate health, and they pass abilities each time they die, depending on the order we kill them. So we do want to be single targeting them down. So on the first phase, we have all 3 of them. We have our main target's going to be Regale, and he will shoot lightning bolts, which we want to be interrupting because he'll be our main target. And he'll also cast lightning prisms on 2 random raid members. And these raid members need to make sure that they are getting out of the way. And then when lightning prism stuns them, they will be dispelled. But you need to make sure you get away from the raid because when you're stunned, it will cause damage to people around you. Then the next one is Asani. And he will be casting water bolts at people, but we will be ignoring it. They can be interrupted, but as he's not our main target, we won't be concentrating on interrupting them. The main ability with him is he does cleansing waters, which is where he puts a pool underneath a boss. And that boss needs to be pulled off it straight away, moved off it, because when it explodes, it heals, and then it also gives the boss a buff, which needs to be dispelled. The best option for this is that when it is underneath a boss, we need to interrupt that boss to get them to move, or generally move them. The last person is Callula, and he will apply a touch of Char on raid members, and once this is applied, it's not removed until the end of the fight. So generally all he does is he will apply this to every raid member, and once we've got it, that's it. But this will cause dot damage to the raid member. So on the first phase, what we need to be doing is we need to be killing Regale first, ignoring the other 2, except if one of them gets the pool underneath them. So that's the first phase. So now Regale's dead, we've got Asani and Callula. And in this phase, we need to remember that Asani's abilities from the first phase will carry over. So that's the water bolts, which now he's going to be the main target you need to interrupt. And that's also cleansing waters, which will need to make sure we move the bosses off it. So the new ability he introduces is Corrupted Water, and this is where an orb will appear in the middle of the raid, so we need to make sure we're not tanking in the middle of the raid. The DPS will need to kill this orb because it will, Asani will be doing more damage when it's up, so we need to get it killed ASAP. Once it dies, it will buff us, so the DPS need to be running in as it dies, make sure range DPS get this buff as well. But once you get in there, you need to go back to the boss if you're melee, or if you're ranged, make sure you don't stay in the middle of the room. Because Callula, even though he's just touched the feared all of us, and we're gaining quite a bit of damage from the dart, he also introduces a move called Defiled Earth. Defiled Earth is he places void zones on the floor. This is why when we kill the orb, we have to run in and then make sure we get out ASAP, because we don't want to have any void zones in the middle, so it causes us trouble to get the orb buff when the orb dies. And then also we can't have any on the outside at the very edge of the room, because once Asani dies, Callahan's going to be tanked on the outside, and that's phase 3. So I can't stress enough that you keep the void zones generally in the middle ring of the room. It is quite a large room, as you've seen on Raid Finder, so it is possible. The only problems will arise if someone accidentally puts one in the middle or puts it in the too far away. So just keep generally in the middle. But other than that, that's the only new things, and our main target is to kill Asani, kill the orb when it's up, gain the buff, go back to Asani, move the bosses when cleansing waters underneath it, and void zones need to be placed in a logical place. So that's it for phase 2. So now Asani's dead, it's phase 3, and we've only got Callula left. So what we're going to do, the tanks will have to drag him to the edge of the room. The reason for this is because his final ability he brings in is Dispel Corruption, I think it's called. And that is where he summons an orb to his location, and it will start pulsing AoE damage. So what the tanks will need to do is once the orb appears, we will need to drag him along the outer ring to the edge of the AoE. So it will spawn, orb will spawn, and the AoE is like this big, and he needs to be just on the edge because we need to have as much space as possible. That is why we're not going to have any void zones there or anything else. It's going to be a clear outer ring space for the tanks to kite. Right, by this time as well, every raid member will have touch of Char, which means we'll be having a lot of dot damage, so that'll be AoE healing. We'll need to watch out because we don't want the tanks to get, and the melee DPS to get caught by the Dispelled Corruption, which is going to be the orbs that will have the AoE damage. And then also we need to make sure that we are still careful on where we plant the void zones, because that will still be happening as well. So his default earth ability will still be up, and he'll be doing the Dispelled Corruption as well. It isn't that hard. That will be the most healing-intensive part of the fight. And that is why we are going to save heroism till the 3rd phase, when we're all in position and we can burn this boss down. So that's it, really. As I say, some people might have done this kill on Raid Finder. I know one of the first times I went into Raid Finder, when people didn't know what they were doing, they actually killed it this way. So it's, of course, going to be quite a lot harder because it's not Raid Finder, but we generally know the gist of what we need to do. So it's just keep them off, keep them moving if they need to be moved, interrupting if there's something to interrupt on them, and all the abilities I've just said. It's not a lot to remember, but we need to make sure that we're being logical when planting void zones especially. So that's it. Hopefully that's been clear enough for all of you. So thanks, guys.